What's up guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video I'm going to be sharing little Russell's birth story. I can't believe he's here and he's literally right here. Isn't that crazy? But yeah, baby boy is here. He's got a little bit of jaundice, so he definitely got some color. Way more than I do. Let's get into it. So at my 37-week appointment, I had high blood pressure and my doctor was a little bit worried about it, and he kind of said that it'd be a good idea to monitor it and kind of see what happens with it. And so I went in a few days later just to get a blood pressure check. Do you need to take a break? So the nurse that was there told me that it was fine basically and said that we didn't need to do anything about it. And then I had my 38-week appointment a few days later, and I was 38 weeks 5 days, but they still considered it my 38-week appointment. And my blood pressure was high again. And so then my doctor looked at like the history of all my blood pressures, and he told me that when I came in to do a blood pressure check, it was actually high. So basically, when I was at my 37-week appointment, he said that if I continue to have high blood pressure, that we would call it at like my next appointment. So my 38-week 5-day appointment, having high blood pressure and having the history of a few other high blood pressures, he decided to call it basically. And he said that I could either get induced that day or I could get induced within the next couple days. So I just like had a couple options of what days I could go in to get induced, and we decided just to go in that day. And so before I left that appointment, I had him check to see how dilated I was, and I was at a 2 and I was 80% effaced. So that also helped with making our decision about getting induced that day. Just knowing that I had already started dilating was enough for me to feel comfortable getting induced at that time. And so basically we told him that we chose that day, and then they called the hospital and put my name on the list. Surprised that we were gonna go in.
I was ready on Monday to go in, but on Thursday I thought the doctor would just send us home. I had my car packed to go to work, so I was not ready to do it, but I was happy and excited to do it. But caught me off guard to get this little guy here.
I asked him if we should bring like our hospital stuff and the car seat and everything, and he was like, no, we don't need to bring it. And so then we left, and we actually went to where my toddler was being babysat and kind of told him what was going on, and we were just waiting for the call from the hospital to tell us what time to come in to get induced. So I got the call and they told me to come in at 11:15 to the hospital to get induced. So I had about 45 minutes to get ready and go to the hospital. And so we went back to our house, got everything ready, made sure our bags were all packed. Anyway, so we got all of our stuff ready. We put my dog in the car, took my dog to my parents' house. We are on our way to the hospital to go have a baby. And then we showed up at the hospital. We got there around 11:20. We were sent to our room, and I started like getting all ready to be induced. And they had the hardest time finding a vein to put my thing in. So I got poked a bunch of times on my arms, and I have like a gnarly bruise from one of the pokes that didn't even work. Let me see if I can show you. You might not be able to see. Oh, you can see. So I have a bruise. I got poked right down here, and it just went all the way up. So I don't know why, but like the one that actually worked is in my hand and it's not bruised at all. So it was probably about 12:30 when they had like all my monitors hooked up. And what was cool is once they had like the monitors hooked up, I was actually having contractions completely on my own without Pitocin, and they were like super regular contractions. And so I had a feeling that I would have been going in either that day or the next day, even if I didn't get induced, even if I didn't have high blood pressure. There's a good chance that I would have just gone into labor naturally right around when he was born. So that was kind of cool to see like on the monitors that I was having contractions on my own. Anyway, so then they started Pitocin probably around 1 p.m. and then my doctor came in and he broke my water at 1:30. We made it. Just broke my water and started Pitocin. And that's when things like really got started. my water was broken. I was doing Pitocin, and I started having like super regular contractions. And then like an hour or so later, they brought in like a peanut ball, and that's when I started having like crazy contractions. Like it all hit all at once. Super fast, super painful. And after I felt like probably the second or third like really painful contractions, I called them to get my epidural. My nurses came in a couple minutes later and told me that the epidural was probably going to be about 20 minutes away. And so I kept having these like really strong contractions, and they're super duper painful for the next like 20 minutes. And some of the contractions like wouldn't even go down, so I would like stay up, and then I'd go down like maybe halfway, and then they'd go right back up, and they hurt really bad. And so I'm just sitting waiting for the epidural to come, just in tons and tons of pain. So I got my epidural. It was about 3:45 p.m. at this point. So something like really common with the epidural is that like sometimes your blood pressure can just drop a little bit usually. But with me, as soon as I got the epidural a couple minutes later, my blood pressure tanked. So I was really it was really low. Like it was scary low, and I can't remember what happened exactly. I just remember feeling really off and really weird, and kind of like I was floating, like I kind of wasn't there for a few minutes. And I told my husband to call my nurses in, because I remember I couldn't reach over to like press my call button. I really like couldn't move. I couldn't do anything. So my nurses came in and saw how low my blood pressure was, and they gave me some medicine. They started calling a bunch of other nurses in, and they called the person that gave the epidural in, and I don't think she came in, but I know they like talked to her. I really don't remember what happened when my blood pressure dropped, because I was like so out of it. But I just remember like not really knowing what was going on, and it was kind of scary for a minute there. I got so hot and sweaty and super pale and just not there at all. But they were able to come in, they gave me medicine, and they switched my position that I was laying in, and then my blood pressure went back up for a little bit. And then my nurses left, and then it happened again. So, and like the same thing happened where I just felt like not even present in the room. Like it was a weird like feeling like I was floating. Had my husband call the nurses again because I could not do it for some reason. I couldn't reach over and press the button. I just kind of went blank again. And I remember all the nurses coming back in, and then they gave me some more medicine, and then they changed my position again. And then it went back up. Had a bit of a scary moment after they put my epidural in, with all my blood pressure dropping and all that crazy stuff. And talking to my mom who was in the room, and Aaron, my husband, who was in the room at the time, they were both freaked out and a little scared about everything that was going on and what they were witnessing in front of them. But everything's good now.
Did you tell them about when
my blood pressure dropped?
Yeah.
Yeah, what was that like?
That was
what was it like?
Terrifying.
What happened? I don't even know what happened.
Oh, the doctor came, put in the epidural, and like a couple seconds later, probably a minute later, she started to drop, and then just kept on dropping, and they were going to get the medicine and try to get it to go back up, but they weren't working quick enough, in my opinion. Anyways, and it dropped all the way down to like 65 over 35, and she looked like she was on her deathbed, which is terrifying. It's completely white, looked like she was just starting to sweat, just like just no life left in her. And that was a really scary moment. I've never been like that scared for her before, so luckily she pulled out of that, but definitely a scary moment there for our little family.
And that happened again.
Yeah, it dropped. Luckily not as low.
Not as low, okay.
But it did drop a little bit.
See, I don't remember a lot of it.
But yeah, it was scary though.
after like my epidural was working and stuff and everything was good, they checked me and I was at a 4. So it's always discouraging because I get the epidural pretty early on, I guess, with both of them, where I don't progress a ton before getting it. But that's okay because I was in pain and I wanted it. So I was at 4, right around like 4 p.m. So it took about an hour for me to go from a 4 to an 8.5. And so it was about 5 p.m. when they checked me again, and I was at an 8.5. And I was so excited because I thought the baby was gonna come like pretty soon after that. Because last time I went from like an 8 to a 10 like really fast, and that didn't happen this time. So I stayed at an 8.5 for a really long time. It was about 9:30 p.m. when they checked me again, and I was at a 9.5 when they told my doctor, and my nurse said that I could like start pushing soon. And so my doctor came in around 9:45. It was a little bit after 9:45, but came in, he got all ready, and then we started to push. So we started pushing just after 9:45. It only took a few pushes. We're gonna whimper. There you go. There we go.
That's one. Very good.
Good job. Good job. 9:58.
That's real good.
Were you surprised like how short I pushed for? Like,
Oh, super short. Compared to the first one, it was 3 or 4 pushes and out comes the baby. So that was super crazy.
So I'm being like a second time mom. The doctor was there the entire time. And so I only pushed for a little under 15 minutes. And then he was here. I also got a tiny like 1st degree tear. But I think that's because his head is in the 98th percentile and his arm and shoulder came out with his head. So I was hoping not to get any tears this time, but little dude decided to have a big noggin. What I think is crazy is that I gave birth a week and 2 days before my due date, and he was already 8 pounds. So that is like a whole pound bigger than my first, and she came almost right at 40 weeks.
I just don't typically get too emotional about things, but both times I've gotten to that emotional level that I don't typically get to, so that was nice for me. When I've kind of, usually it's when they've come out and I'm looking at them and thinking about their names and stuff and how it feels really good and really right, and that's when I've gotten emotional both times.
So, and another fun thing is that our firstborn, her birthday is on the 1st of September, and his birthday is the 2nd of March. So our first baby is born on the 1st, and our second baby is born on the 2nd. And that was also a fun thing, like when we were choosing whether or not to go in that day or the next couple days, we decided that it'd be fun to have a fun birthday. Anyways, they just don't mess with high blood pressure in pregnancy, and so, but I'm glad that he's here and he's healthy. I mean, he does have some jaundice, but it's not enough to be on the lights, and so we're grateful for that. And we're just happy that he's here. And he also has like a ton of hair, and it's really dark. And he actually has a little bit more hair than Paisley had when she came out, but they both had really dark hair when they were born. What's it like when he comes out? Is it gross?
It's kind of cool, honestly.
It's cool.
When you see their little hairs poking through, and then you know it's close, and then you know just one more push, and then when she pushes, then it's just like and just slides out, and he's all white and like. So and it's a whole, that's an experience. When she was first pregnant though, before we had Paisley, she's like, I don't want you to watch.
That's true.
But I'm glad that I've watched both times because it was really cool both times to be able to be there and see it all happen, get to really see when they're coming into like Earth, and then like, you know, their first breaths. It's a whole experience for sure.
After he was born, he was put on my chest, he was wiped down, and they made him cry. And And then we did skin to skin right after, and we were able to feed for the first time. And after we did skin to skin for like 30 minutes, 45 minutes, that's when they weighed him and took all of his measurements and did all that fun stuff. Yeah, and then we went to the mom baby unit, and we are still in mom baby, just waiting to get word that we can go. So, I have a little baby. Just waiting. Hung out there for 2 nights and came home the next day. We're on our way home from the hospital. Gonna go see Paisley. Baby's in the back. Who's he? Say hi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the baby.
Baby brother.
That's your baby brother. Yeah.
You want to get him out? And Paisley has just loved him, maybe a little too much, but she's just wanted to give him hugs and give him kisses, and she always points to him and says baby, and it's really cute. So that's Russell's birth story, and he's just been such a good baby. We could not be happier with him.
Hopefully he's gonna be a big sports guy like me.
And we'll see you again soon. Oh, you go open your eyes. Oh, big yawn. Oh.